actually personally have any. The school had a bunch. Apparently, over Monday to Tuesday, somewhere in Monday to Tuesday. I'm going to get the schedule page here. Schedule page.
It's 243.
It's okay. I think it's the same schedule page. Thank you. Yeah, it all links to the same schedule page. And we're in week 3, right? Yep. Video from class. So the way I set up, no, there it is. The way I've set up your class videos. Let's pause this. You don't need to hear it twice. Oh, volume's down anyway. Good Lord, this thing knows.
You click on the link.
We had a student using a Kindle to watch the videos. You click on the link from class, it takes you out to this one right here. Now it doesn't look the same on a Kindle as it does on a PC. A PC, you've got all these other videos. You've got the comments down here. You've got the fact, hey, 12 of you watched it. Thanks. But the reason I set it up the way I set it up, it's like after class. I'm excited. It's a new record for me. The reason I set it up the way I set it up is because if you look over here, in order, that's the next ones. So in other words, if you go to the playlists I've created, which probably none of you have ever done, and you might not have to, but you might want to, somewhere in here there's a little, I don't know where it is anymore. They keep changing the way YouTube looks. There's a way to get, that's the playlist. Math 105 Fall 13 is your playlist. Let me just click on that. Well, the answer is yes, you can. So now, that is every video we've shot in class from day 1. Day 1 syllabus-ish. And then it just scrolls down every single video we've recorded in class thus far, right up till the last ones I posted, which was part 11 on Monday. But rather than inundate you with that every day in the schedule page, what I do is I upload every day. I take the camera back to the office every day, hook it into the computer, dump the videos to the computer, put them into YouTube, then organize them, and get the link just to part 1 of any given day. So yesterday, or Monday, had 11 parts, because we kept stopping and starting and stopping and starting. You went outside, you came back in. So I kept stopping and starting the camera. So what I do is, in your schedule page, I just link to part 1. And that's the one you'll see in that link right here, video from class. When you click on that, it'll launch into that video. But then, and this is the one that's playing right now, but then the next ones are in order, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5. That's the way I've set it up to make it as seamless for you guys, but it sounds like a Kindle, and I'm going to make a note of this, thank you. Kindle is not playing nicely with this system. I'll try to find out why. Okay. I'll try to do some Google searching. This is the thing about technology. It's freaking awesome. It's totally awesome. It makes things possible. I have had 3, 4 students this week thank me for doing this because they've gotten ravenously ill and they can't make it to class. And they said, oh my God, this is terrible. I can't get to class, but I can still watch the videos and it feels like I'm not missing all that much. Because we only have class twice a week, right? Twice a week. And if you miss one, think about it this way. If you miss a class, that's 5% of the term. That's kind of crazy to think about. We only meet 20 times. So that's 5% each time. So if you miss a week because of sickness or because of whatever else, that's 10% of the class. At least you get an idea of what we did and kind of play along, which is one of the main reasons I do this. I love doing this. It's an inordinate amount of time, but it's totally worth it when, you know, oh, I guess that counts my videos too. Well, somebody else is watching it concurrently with us. So, make sense?
When would you like some suggestions? Like
anytime, but email them to me.
Okay.
I mean, if you tell me, that's great, and I'll write down what I can, but I'm so scatterbrained. I would love suggestions. Just email them, and I'll try to get them under.
All right.
A lot of it is dependent on the fact that I'm doing it myself. I'm not a media person.
It's simple. It's just a link back to the schedule page.
Please do that.
Okay.
Email it to me. Let me figure it out. You talking like right here?
Like when you're in like a quiz, or if you're in the homework sheet, a link back to your main page to start over again. Like if I wanted to click on.
You mean like you're on the quiz, that 243 quiz, where there's a link out to a YouTube video? Is that what you're talking about?
If I go, when you click on your schedule, and let's say I go over to homework. Yeah. A link back to that main page.
Why don't you just press the back button?
I know, but what if I want to have that page open and I want to open it up?
Oh, there's a great trick. There's a great trick for that. Open a new tab.
Right.
This is great. So if you want to open this, just right-click on it.
Right. No, I know, but there's not a link on that page, so then I have to go and open another page. So go.
You're going to have to open another page regardless, whether I create a link or whether you right-click.
I understand that, but
so just right-click.
there's no link to click there's no hyperlink to click to bring back up that page again.
I'm not following.
I'll have to show you.
Yeah, please show me, because I'm not following that. The only way to open a page is to have a link.
Go to your main page, click on the schedule.
Yes.
And then I click on a quiz.
Yeah.
I'm in, or homework, say homework. And I'm in homework, but yet I want to refer back to something that was on the
Do
schedule.
what I just suggested. Right click and open a new tab. And you've got 2 tabs open, one's the schedule, one's the homework page.
I know, I'm doing that.
Good.
And
Keep doing
then
that.
going back to my link that I saved for you, but if you had a link,
Keep doing that,
on that
because the amount
homework.
of time it's going to take me to change all those links to
Okay.
target blanks
Gotcha.
is not going to happen this term.
Okay.
I can tell you that right now, because I coded HTML, I'm going to have to go into each one of those links and replace what's there with nothing with a target equals blank, and that's just not going to happen this term. It's a good idea, and I try in theory to do that all the time now, but that original schedule page template was built 6 years ago, and I wasn't doing it then. So, and it's not going to happen this term,
Okay.
just because of time limitations.
Okay.
I appreciate that, it's a great idea, but don't forget this trick.
Yeah,
I do this all the time, because most pages don't do that. Honestly, most pages don't have pop-outs. At least like the YouTube doesn't do that. If I click on a playlist or if I click on my video manager, it doesn't open a new window.
I don't know if you're understanding what I'm saying.
I totally am. And just say it
Okay.
won't happen time-wise this term.
Okay.
So, anyway, you may have also noticed for today, there was an extra quiz for about 24 hours in your schedule page. That was, I don't know how the hell that got there. So here's today, your project. We'll talk about that momentarily. And there was a quiz due, but it also said something else. There was a second quiz. That was not supposed to be for you guys. That was supposed to be over here. And I don't know what the hell happened. It got dumped into your cells somehow. I don't know how that happened. Again, it was some kind of a techo glitch. Also, you guys probably didn't notice this. Your cell got dumped into this cell. So there was some kind of a weird switch between this 243 class and your 105, but it wasn't a complete switch, it was a partial switch. Joe?
We also got 2 different copies of that quiz, of the second quiz. We just looked at it.
Well, that wasn't supposed to be your quiz at all. I apologize. You guys were only supposed to have this quiz where I had you estimate the number of emails processed by COCs. That was the only one you guys were supposed to have. Okay. I mean, I try to tell you in class, if I'm going to make more than one quiz, I'll try to verbally tell you that.
I thought you did, though.
Yeah.
You did.
There was going to be an extra one.
You did.
No, I don't remember that.
No, I said sometimes I make extra ones. I mean, I would have distinctly told you I'm going to make one for Wednesday. I would have done that for sure. And every once in a while I will. Every once in a while I promise you that. It's just that wasn't the one, and that was definitely not the one for you guys. I apologize. That was. I mean, you could have totally handled it. You could have totally handled it. It wasn't anything more than arithmetic and some Excel stuff. But it wasn't intended for you guys. So as soon as I realized that, somebody told me at 2:43 at 10 o'clock yesterday morning, they said, what the hell's going on with the schedule page? I'm like, what are you talking about? And I looked at it, and their projects had formulas due. I'm like, what the hell is that? And a couple of them had actually printed the formulas project. What the hell is this? We're not doing this in class. I'm like, I know you're not. You did it in Math 95, I'm sure, or Math 60, but like, anyway, it caused mass gnashing of teeth. It pissed me off because I spent 4 and 5 hours on Monday organizing all this stuff, and then one 3-second computer glitch screwed it all up. So that's frustrating. That's when I start swearing internally. But I think it's all good now. I think it's all good. At least you guys are. So, estimation quiz. Whew. Hopefully that was, again, the right answer is not what I'm after. I'm after the process of how you got it. That's the most important thing. I'm coming up with some good ones for your exam next week, too. And when I say good ones, I don't mean hard ones. I mean ones that'll make you write down your thought processes, the assumptions that you make, things like that. Things like that. I'll get you thinking about one of them. One of them is how many stairs on COCC's campus. That's one of the things I have to estimate. I'm thinking about that. Estimate! Estimate, not count. I may have you do that too. And here's why. I'm still thinking about this at the end of the term. There's a race called Storm the Stairs at COCC. Maybe some of you have done it. It's a fun race, super fun race. I want to make a race called Storm Every Stair, where you run every stair on COCC's campus.
Oh my God.
But I want to make it so it's the minimized total distance. So what I will do, I will not make you guys do this, I will go out and actually figure out where all the stairs are. And then I'll make a map of that, bring it back, and then we'll mathematically figure out where the shortest path is between them all. I don't think we're allowed to do that. I mean, during the race they do, but I think if we included every building during a race, we'd get shut down. So I would probably just use the outside ones. And just the outside concrete stairs. Like I wouldn't have you running up and down. Some of you guys had to measure the Grandview stairs that were in the metal stairs that go up to the fireside room last time. One of the groups had to do that. Maybe those you guys, yeah. So I wouldn't do that because I just take jumping back down again. So, but anyway, don't go out today and go count all the stairs. Not that you would anyway. Because you're probably not going to find them. There's some that are hidden in weird places that I've discovered just by running around campus. So don't go out and count. So anyway, that's your estimation quiz. Hopefully that was thought-provoking for you, I hope. Project! Sorry. We had a new master swim coach today. She had us do, you got any swimmers in here? A couple? No, zero. She had us do this drill with freestyle, where your front arm's out, your right arm's here, but you don't actually get to use your arms. You're kicking on your side the whole time.
I did that in the, are you Juniper?
At Juniper.
Yes.
I am about 95% when I swim from my arms. So you take my arms away, and it's comical at best. I drank a lot of pool today, and I think the chlorine is bleaching out my vocal cords. So I'm going to be squeaking a lot, and I apologize. More than usual. I know I squeak a lot as it is. Anyway, project. How was that? Decent.
Don't like
Decent.
it. No.
Don't like it.
It was
It's okay. That's honest. I like honesty. Don't like it.
It was okay.
It was okay. Okay, so I had okay. Was it great? Was it okay? I got a wonderful. We got a didn't like it, and we got an okay. I'll take all that. That averages out to okay. The reason for that project is kind of two and threefold. We haven't done a lot of algebra in this class. You did a lot of algebra up to this class. I mean, we know that. We can't ignore algebra. It does come in handy. You're going to see why. I mean, it comes in handy when we actually develop things called mathematical models. Mathematical model. Is that Kale? Yeah. That's the best. Still coming in good. Still coming in good even this time of year. Very, very nice.
Yeah.
We develop these things called mathematical models, which are mathematical equations that describe things that are going on. Next week, we're going to take a trip outside, weather permitting and temperature permitting, where I'm going to roll my bike down a hill, and you guys are going to stand at certain intervals and time me as I go by, and we're going to figure out how fast I'm going by the end. Okay? And that is only really possible without a speedometer if we have a mathematical equation that describes what I'm doing, and we'll develop that in class together. Today, we're going to test a theory. There's a theory, I've read a number of places, that there are common proportions on the human body. You may have seen the Vesuvian Man. I think it was Da Vinci's artwork. It's the dude standing in the square in the circle like this, the naked guy, right? And the idea, there are certain proportions in the human body that are fairly constant. And one of those is the distance from your, how do you measure? It's either from here to here and here to here, or from here to here to here to here. I forget which one we measure. I've got it written down here. We're going to test that. But to test that, to see if there's consistency, it helps to have an equation to kind of plug our data into to see. Otherwise, we're doing everything manually every time. So algebra is a wonderful thing because it helps us simplify when things get ugly. It doesn't always help with estimation. Although we did bust out some equations from time to time, estimating, which was nice. Volume, surface area, whatever else we use. So it does come in handy, which is why I like that project. It's kind of a catch-all. I know you all come from an algebra background. I kind of want to tap into that background and shake the tree and see what symbols fall down. And hopefully you learned a few things. There were a couple questions on that were deceptively simple. How many of you like solve the y equals a times the quantity x minus h squared plus k for k? How many of you started by distributing out the squared and multiplying through by the a? Right. But all you had to do was move the whole thing over. And that's the point of that. The point of that is just to realize it's so easy to overthink. You get programmed in algebra classes. You see a squared, and you want to square it. You don't have to necessarily. It all depends on what you're talking about. If you're solving for that k over there, there's no difference if it's y equals a times x minus h, the quantity squared plus k, or y equals z plus k. You solve it the exact same way. You move over everything else, and it's attached by addition. So that's the point of that project, was just to kind of get you to think about that and refresh those memories. Because we've spent 2.5 weeks not doing algebra, essentially. We spent 2.5 weeks. I turned a W into a DR. It's awesome. Spent a lot of time with my 6-year-old. We spent a lot of time doing arithmetic, doing estimations, going out and doing measurements. Those are great. But we don't forget that algebra because it's still going to come in handy for us. So, it says, also remember the rainy day coupons if needed. If anybody walked in today going, holy crap, there was a project due, that means you forgot. That's totally fine. The rainy day coupons, there's 3 of them. If you click on this link, it takes you out to them. There's a project one and one for each of the first 2 exams. I'll explain these next week. Actually, I'll explain them the week after when you get them back. The project coupon allows you a 1-day grace period if you forget about a project. So if today, if you walked in and it's not done, you have 24 hours to get it done and submit it to my office. All you gotta do is, well, you gotta read all this. The big thing is print this out and attach it to the project and submit it to me. It's worth 5 points if you don't use it, which explains right now on your progress reports that you've gotten from me for the past couple weeks, you've got an extra 5 points that are floating in there. That's this, because none of you have used it yet. So that's why it's possible for some of you to have 150% in the first week of the class. If you got a 10 out of 10 on the first quiz, plus 5, that's 15 out of 10, which is 150%, 1.5 as a percentage. So that's just for you. Most students never use it. You can use it once on one project. So it sounds like everybody turned theirs in today, which is fantastic. Good. We'll get those back to you. Hopefully, I'm hoping Monday. I was going to grade, speaking of grading, does this make sense? Just capish? Yeah. Okay, capish. I was going to, might not be displayed correctly. It looks fine. It's green, it's pink, it's blue. Yeah, we're good. Crap, I was saying something else. Projects. Oh, the in-class quizzes you did last time, I was going to grade them and get them back to you, but I talked to Emily, who grades your other quizzes, and she wants to do that. And I figured, what the hell, she gets paid for it, so let's let her do it and get some hourly wage for it. So the only problem is you'll get them back on Monday and not today, because she picks stuff up on Thursday afternoon, and she returns it to me on Monday morning. So you get that stuff plus your project, plus I guess that quiz, get a whole stack of stuff back on Monday. And if I get it back early, I'll send a progress report out with all those grades in it, so you guys know what's going on. How we doing? Looking a little like.
So our extra quiz that we did, that'll be fine to turn that in.
Say that again.
The extra quiz that was in there.
Turn it in. I got to figure out what to do with that because it wasn't available to everyone. It depends on when you look at the page, and that feels kind of bad to me because I like to apply extra credit kind of equitably across the board. Turn it in though. I'll figure out something to do with it. I'm not sure what. I mean, you definitely got the next quarter partially in the bag already, which is nice. But I'll turn it in. I'll figure out what I can do with it. What else? What are you guys nervous about?
Next week's test.
Next week's test, why are you nervous about it? Tell me.
Because it's a math test.
Because it's a math test.
And I got test anxiety and it's math.
Hey, I know that. I know that. What's one thing I've done in the past, and you guys are going to be recipients of this to hopefully alleviate some of that?
Take home maybe?
It's half take home. Every exam is half take home in here. You come in, you take about an hour's worth of the exam in class. The other part, I'm going to start working on the other part today. It's just going to be on estimation and grade. Those are the only 2 sections on this exam next week. We're going to start what's called linear modeling today. That's where the algebra kind of comes back a little bit. But that won't be on the exam on Wednesday. I want to keep that till we might finish it before then, but we won't finish it early enough, I think, to put it on that exam. So both take-home part and the in-class part are going to deal with estimation and grade. I'm going to have you do Pilot Butte. I've got some measurements from Pilot Butte. We're going to do grade on Pilot Butte. We're going to do angle on Pilot Butte. What the else am I going to do? I had some ideas on Ride the Hill today. You can be nervous. A certain level of nervousness is actually good. It kind of keeps you sharp. A certain level. But when it gets to the point of paralyzing fear, that's when we have to kind of mitigate. And that's what I'm trying to do with things like, partial take-homes, which I'll have posted by Sunday for you guys, and they won't be due till a week and a half later. I'll give you as much information as I possibly can. I want to test your knowledge, obviously. We'll put formulas on the board if you need them. Okay, there's not many formulas, right? I think it's a grade formula, right? Grades rise over run. I think that's about it. Maybe Pythagoras. We'll slap Pythagoras up there if you want that bad boy. Estimation. If you need a formula for estimation, ask me. I'll put it on the board. So it's not about memorization. It's about application of what we've been learning. And I appreciate that. And that's one of the reasons I constantly rethink. I would have canned all in-class exams, but my students keep saying, no, we want part of them in class. Okay, so I keep them half in class and half out of class. But most of your assessments, think of it from a percentage point of view. You have about 500 points in this class by the end of the term. You've turned in now 25, probably close to 55 of it. So you've turned in roughly 10% of the points as of this point. You'll have 500 total. Of that 500, only 150 of it comes from in-class tests, if you will. A very small percentage. 30%, right? Ends up being 30%. The other 70% is completely outside of class, working with others, working with me, working with the tutors. So try to remember that. I know it's so easy, but I think a lot of us are thinking of the traditional math exams like my profs gave me, where I had a midterm in week 5 and well, actually it was week 8. You had 16. It was a midterm in week 8, a final in week 16, and some of those guys, after the midterm, would return exams with drop slips stapled to them, signed already. That was assessment. That was assessment for a college prof. Yeah, that was assessment. When I took abstract algebra, I remember one exam, it was a final, I think. There were 30 people in the class. I got a C minus. I was the 3rd highest grade in the class. He failed 27 people out of 30. How can you fail 90% of the class and say look yourself in the mirror and go, I did the best job I possibly could have done in there? It's ludicrous. But that was assessment back in the 90s and the 80s. That's the way assessment was done. It's crap. It's total garbage. That's why you have a quiz every week, at least a quiz. That's why you got these projects. That's why you've got take-homes, in classes, extra credit. You got all these points floating around. Try to keep that in the back of your mind. I can't cure math anxiety. If I could cure math anxiety, we'd all go in together and retire. But I can try to alleviate as best I can. Please, Linda, go.
One of the things I'm finding that with like the homework and stuff, they're like measurements and I mean that I'm supposed to know what those kind of things are.
Not necessarily. You're talking about like kilometers and meters and stuff?
Well, not. I mean, there was one on the homework that.
Let's take a look at it, shall we?
Okay.
The grade homework. I'm thinking.
Right, and I'm just wondering if that's something that's going to be not on grade, but on the estimate.
On estimations.
If that's something that's going to be on the quiz too, because that's kind of freaking me out. Like there was, like the
Be
water.
more specific.
Like the water.
Yes.
How many gallons? How am I supposed to know? I don't know.
Answer a question. How many gallons in a cubic foot? Give me one way to answer that question. Well, first of all, the answer is like 7.5 or 8. But tell me if you're sitting in an assessment like next week's exam, and you come to a question where I ask you that question, what do? You ask me, I put it on the board. About 8 gallons. This is not a
That's what's
memorization
freaking
class.
me out.
But you're thinking of this as a traditional algebra-based memorization skills class, where you are being tested on definitions. I hate those. I despise those. I want to see the way you guys think. So if you need that measurement, I give it to you. I give it to you. Don't worry about that.
All right.
I give that to you. I give you the fact that a cubic foot is 1,728 cubic inches. Or that a cubic mile is big. I don't know how big it is, but it's big. We'll figure it out together. We'll open Google on the screen and we'll figure it out. And then you can go use it and show me how you're going to use it. Don't worry about that.
Okay.
I don't want, and that's what math anxiety, that's why math anxiety cripples people. Thank you for that example. Because what happens is, you get to a point in a problem like that, you read that, and you get stuck on that, and you can't get past that. And then you can't demonstrate all this awesome stuff that you know, because you're so stuck. I've watched it happen in classes before. It's phenomenal, and it's depressing. So let's alleviate that. Fair? I saw a hand go up. Please, and this is, wait, Mrs. Kristen.
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
I noticed the rainy day exam cues.
Yes!
Do you only use one of them?
No! We'll talk about them next week though, okay? You can use them both. They're both there for your use. And we'll talk about why they're good things too, when we get to that point. Cool? All right. Speaking of homework, so that's estimation homework. How about grade? Anything in grade give you grief?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes! Well, let's talk in an area as it loads very slowly.
I forgot everything.
E14.
I think so, sure. So here we go, we got some grade. Now, realize too, thinking of the exams, I know you guys are getting freaked out about the exam, and that's okay if you get freaked out. The in-class problems and the out-of-class problems are going to be different. The in-class problems are going to be pretty straightforward. I mean, like, I think this is a fantastic in-class problem. Type of problem, right? A road rises 200 feet over 2 miles of run. That's a fantastic in-class problem. I thought of one this morning riding up Aubrey Butte. I had to come in a different way and go up Glasso from a different way. I think it was called the Panoramic or some other little crazy short road that looks like this. I'm going to take my transit out there later on today, get the measurements and include that too. Because it's great. I can give you a rise, I can give you a hypotenuse and have you figure out what the run is and what the grade is. You see what I'm getting at here? So those are great, very, very straightforward. I can throw the equations for grade and Pythagoras on the board for you. That way you don't have to worry about memorizing formulas. Just show me you know how to use them. But Ariel's asking about E14, which I think is the Aubrey Butte hill repeat workout, I think.
Yeah.
It's this one! Okay, or is this the Pilot Butte one? No, it's Aubrey Butte, I think. Okay. I think I might use something like this on your take-home. because I brought my little cell phone Android tracker with me on the Mackenzie ride I did last weekend, 2 weekends ago, and I've got a beautiful thing like this from that as well. So I've got a nice elevation map of the Mackenzie ride, which is super fun, super fun. All right, E14. So first of all, aerial, E11 through 13, decent. Decent. Okay. 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 You know what? Would you mind if we take a couple minutes to go through some of those? Is that all right?
No, that'd be good.
Let's just take a look at some of these. So if you didn't get a chance to look at this yet, first of all, it's metric. And I apologize for that. At the time I printed this graphic out, I couldn't figure out how to convert the damn thing to imperial.
Yeah, let's pretend we're European.
Let's pretend to be Europeans for a while. Exactly, Nick. That's why I put it on there. Do us good. Do us good. So what you've got is this suicidal-looking hill repeat. Looks like I'm running straight up the side of a cliff until you realize that here is the elevation. Now, this tracker calls this elevation. What would we call that? A much simpler. It's not quite slope. What part of the slope is it? It's the rise. It's the rise part of the slope. Does that make sense? And think about it. Elevation is how much I'm going up in the air. So that's going to be the rise. This says distance. It's almost the run. But it's not. I don't run on the run, remember. When you're traveling on roads and or trails, in this case, what are you actually traveling on? If you're envisioning that triangle, you're traveling the hypotenuse, aren't you? Technically speaking, although we deal with that, I think, down in E14 when you're getting to the percent error one, maybe. Is that what you're talking about, Ariel? Maybe down there. So it becomes negligible after a while. If anybody called the distance the run, it's essentially the run. It's essentially the run, and we'll come back to that. We'll come back to that momentarily. I think this is an important topic to check out. Okay, it says for the first 6 kilometers, I rode my bike. So I start at my house. I ride over Empire, down Archie Briggs for a little bit. Then I ride down the trail, the river trail, and I take a right off Archie Briggs, and it goes downhill. And then right when it takes that hard right turn and goes back uphill, I park the bike there, and there's a trail right to the left, and that's where my trail run starts, right there. And then I just go up to the top of the butte, and then come back down. And then I go up, and I come back down. I figure if Ashton Eaton can win a gold medal at the decathlon, I can do this 5 times. And you're all looking like I'm out of my mind. That's okay. Maybe. So, anyway, do the first 6, do the run, then ride. After 19.5, ride home. So you can see where my bike is, and you can see where my running is. Right? 6 kilometers, 0, 5, 6 is right about here. This is where I rode my bike. This is not speed. This is how high I am off the ground. So from my house to the trailhead, I gained not a whole lot. It's like I dropped and then came back up. So it looks essentially like I didn't go anywhere from my house to the trailhead. I basically started and stopped at the same elevation, although I dropped and then came back up. So the average grade would have been 0 right there, even though I actually did some climbing. Please, Ken.
What are the spikes?
The spikes are just goofy transitions in the recording, so it could be a very steep, quick uphill, or it just could be a glitch in the overall transmission from my
Looks like you went
GPS.
over 5 mountains.
Oh, these spikes!
Yeah.
We'll come back to that. They're nowhere near as spiky as they appear to be. Good, we'll come back to those spikes. Okay, how long is my workout?
15.6 miles.
Boom! How long is the workout? Well, I start at 0 kilometers at the house, and I end up back at the house. This looks like I went in a straight line. I didn't. I rode from my house out to the trailhead, so, and then up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, and then rode home. So the start and stop points are the same. But I did travel overall about 25.8 kilometers if you're feeling European. If you're not feeling European, convert that to miles. Now, this goes back to a great question. Linda, if I don't know how many miles are in a kilometer, what do I do? Give you one answer.
Google it.
Micah,
Yeah, Google.
you can totally Google it. Check this out. Check this out. This is freaking rad. With Google, I'll reteach you this in your next project, which is about dimensional analysis. But if you need to do a conversion, you can do it right in the Google bar. What was that? 25 point, what was it?
25.7.
25.7, 25.8, 25.8 kilometers to miles. Now, before I even press enter, it's giving me the answer up there. But if you press enter, it's going to tell you right there. It's about 16 miles altogether. It's about 16 miles altogether. Make sense? So I did about 3 miles of biking to the trailhead-ish. 6 kilometers is ish 3 miles, a little bit over 3 miles. 3 miles home, so there's 6 miles total. And if the whole thing's 16, it means I did 10 miles of running. Is that fair? So there's one way to get the answer. Use Google. What if you're in class and you're too paralyzed with fear to use Google? Ask me. Ask me. I'll tell you. I'll tell you. Here's a good rule of thumb for kilometers to miles, because it happens all the time in our world. Roughly, if you take your number of kilometers and take it 2/3 of it, that's roughly how many miles? Roughly. I think it's 0.62, but you can use 2/3. You say it again?
Either my brain or your brain switched it around, because kilometers are smaller than mine.
Right. So if you take the number of kilometers times 2/3, you get a smaller number. That's how many miles it is. So I always think of this, if you can't keep that in your head, the race, a 5K race, if you do a 5K, it seems like there's lots of 5Ks around this town. A 5K race is 3.1 miles to the nearest tenth of a mile. A 10K is 6.2. So if a 10K is 6.2 miles, that means 1K is 0.62 miles. So about 2/3. That's one way. You can keep that in your head too. I mean, that might actually come in handy for you as you're moving around the country and dealing with the metric system that leaches in.
You could also just take out the 25.8 just to kilometers to miles. It'll show you right there.
Oh, the conversion! Yes, exactly. Thank you, Nick. Yep, you can just do that. There you go. There's your 0.62. Yep, absolutely. But what's nice about Google is you can put your problem in and it'll kick it back to you. It can get confused. It can get confused if you make the unit too confusing. Right now, Google hasn't quite figured that out, but something like kilometers to miles or cubic feet. Check this one out. You ready? Here we go.
Well, that's like I was doing inches too.
1 cubic, spell it right, cubic foot to gallons. Look at that. 7.848 cubic gallons per cubic foot. What was the one you were giving me, Linda?
Oh, I was doing inches to feet.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know it's 12 inches in a foot, but.
You said not. Well, look, I spelled it wrong, but it's still. Didn't you mean this, idiot? Yes, I did. Thank you, Mr. Google. Do you know where the word Google comes from?
It's a 1 with 100 zeros out.
Yes, the word Google is actually spelled Googol. Google. It's a ridiculous little word that is 1 followed by 100 zeros. And Google very cleverly took that because they realized it's a cute sounding word. And they realized, I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome. We can use that because we return so many search results, 1.1 million. It's nowhere near 10 to the 100th power, but that's where they get their name from. It's a misspelling of that fun word, Google. So anyway, I didn't come here to say that today. So you can do conversions this way. So now we know how long my trip was. How many miles do I run up and down the hill? I think we just answered that question, didn't we?
8.3.
Say that again?
8.3.
No, I said about 10. I like 8.3 though, Nick, because I was approximating this as 3 miles. It's actually a little bit more.
Okay.
And so that's a little bit more than 3 mials. So my 10 is a little bit too high. I'll go with 8.3. Yeah, I just estimated it as 10, but I like your 8.3. That's good. Because you actually took 6 kilometers, didn't you?
I did.
And you took 12 kilometers and changed it to. Good for you. Good for you. I would have just, I ballpark everything. I say it's about 3 miles for my ride. That means it's about 3 miles back. So that's about 6 miles. Take that away from the 16, make it 10. But Nick's is a little more precise. I like that. I like that. Fair enough so far? We feeling okay about this? Does my voice sound more raspy today than usually it does, doesn't it? Good Lord.
A little hot liquid.
A little hot liquid?
Like tea or.
I drank some coffee before I came down here.
Oh God, really?
Sweet Jesus, why? Why would you do that? All right. How many feet in elevation do I gain over the 5 hill repeats? All right. And people would think, why the hell would you do that? You just come back down. Why would you run up a hill? And if you've taken total fit, you know why. So what do you think? Give me an estimate, or give me an approximation based on that.
For the running only.
For the running only. And do I do each or just one? Over the 5. So all 5 hill repeats.
0.
That's how much I net over the 5. Yes, I do. I net 0 because I come back down each time. But I actually do go up. And it's a lot of work.
When you take the 1240.9 minus the 1050,
So yeah, somewhere in that ballpark, right?
and then
Yeah. So 1240. So that's right. Can I call that 1250? Can I call that 1250? and call that 1050. We're approximating here. 1250 minus 1050 gives me 200 even. That's one hill repeat. That means I do 1,000 of those altogether. That's 1,000 meters. Look at the unit. This is what gets goofy. We got kilometers down here and meters up here. That's why, who asked me that question? What are the spiky things? Cameron, was that you?
Yeah.
Yeah, the spiky things are because this is in meters, not kilometers. They would be barely perceptible if it was in
Where'd
kilometers.
you get 1,000 from?
Well, because I did 5 of them. So there's 200 meters here.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Right, and I did 5 of them all together.
Okay.
So I got 1,000. Is that fair?
Right.
So 1,000 meters, I gotta convert that to feet. I don't feel like doing that. 1,000 meters to feet. That was a wasted die, is that what it says?
That's a good show.
There we go. There we go. Roughly that many feet. That's how much I climb. And descend, which is nice. That's always the best part, coming back down. It's fun watching my speed graph on this. The bike graph is the speed's way up high because I'm going like 15, 20 miles an hour. And then I start running uphill, grinds to a halt. Then I come flying back downhill, which is super fun. Cool, look at that. Yahoo Answers. Look at the date, 2008. I guess that's before Google was efficient with these conversions.
All that in 0.18 seconds.
0.18 seconds. I know. Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy.
Crazy. Crazy. 1.8 million results in 0.18 seconds. All right, so we got our climbing. All right, here we go. Average grade on the repeat. This was the question Ariel asked about. What is my average grade on one repeat? One repeat. Now, overall, I'm defining a hill repeat to be I go up and then I come back down again. So for E14, there's no work to do, is there? Is there? Because, think about it. Here's my first hill. It doesn't really matter which one we use. They all look the same, don't they? But let's draw the triangle of my hill repeat, shall we? I think that makes sense. Let's go over here. Yeah, this is going to be good. I want to use the Mackenzie Pass ride that I did, and it looks very similar to this. So this is a great one to ask for. You going to focus for me there, Chief? Only the human eye focuses faster. Okay, good. So here I am. E14, probably, and even more than E14. Here I am. Ready to go. Standing at the corner of that trail, and the river trail, and my uphill trail. And I start running uphill. And we're not going to draw up a scale just because the board's not long enough, but that's okay. I get to, what the hell road is that I get to up there? There's a park up there. It doesn't matter. You cross 5 roads and you're at the top of the butte by the radio towers. What do? Well, vomit. And then go back down, same trail. I haven't vomited yet, working on it. Pretend that's an isosceles triangle. Pretend those are equal sides. It's close-ish. And then I'm over here. Puking maybe. Okay, so far? Let's get some measurements. See, this looks different than what we talked about in class last time, doesn't it? Because in class we had a right triangle. And now, where's the right triangle? Boom! There are 2 of them. Yes! Let's break this into what we did in class. In class, we didn't talk about going up and then coming back down. We were talking about roads. The only way that would happen to you on a road is if you went to the top of the hill and then turned back around and went back down again. Or conversely, if you went down and then came back up again. So there are 2 right triangles here. Let's drop it in. Put that right, that's the color. What the hell, we got it. So, how do we deal? How do we now deal with this grade? Well, what's grade? Wow, that was a good deal. Say that again.
Like a cough drop?
Nah, I'm good. I'll probably choke on it.
Right.
I see what you're trying to do.
I was working
There's no
on it.
nurses in here, are there?
I was working.
See? Oh, I'm sorry, Sean. You appear to be choking. Do you need help? Oh, I'm not certified. We're talking about grade, average grade. This is the kind of formula I would put on a board for you during an exam. Average grade, what is it?
Rise over run.
Right, it's rise over run. rise over overall run. So we got to figure out those things. All right? So, what's the overall rise? Remember, over the entire hill repeat, and I want to draw your attention also to E15, which is what's the average grade on the uphill section only.
Is
See,
that the same as the
200
downhill section?
It is. So what's my overall rise for the entire thing?
Is it 200 or?
It's 0.
Right.
I haven't gone anywhere. I go up, whatever it is, what we say, 200 meters?
200.
I think that's what we said it was, right?
Right.
We go up 200 meters, but then I cancel that by coming back down 200 meters, and I end up back where I started. Which is why the pessimists say, why even bother? You're coming back down and set yourself to trip. Have a beer. Sit at the corner. That make sense? So the answer to E14 is actually very, very simple. No more calculation needed. Because the average grade formula, if your overall rise is 0, meters, feet, whatever, it doesn't matter what your overall run is. 0 divided by something is going to give you 0. It's a bastard question, isn't it?
Yes.
Expect one just like it. On my Mackenzie Pass ride, I started at Sisters High School on my trek. Rode to D Wright Observatory, down to 126. Beautiful over this time of year, by the way. All the colors, reds, yellows, oranges, streams, moss. It was moss. Rode back up to D Wright, back to Sisters High School. Overall grade for the entire trip? 0, because I didn't go anywhere. If you sat in my car for 6 hours, you'd see me come back exhausted and smiling. But I didn't go anywhere on the whole trip because it netted 0. Does that make sense? Now, what's more interesting? More interesting is E15, I think, Ariel, right? E15 is a more interesting question. What's the grade for just the uphill part? That, you see, I think the grade, the E14 grade being 0 is almost like a bastard question. Because it's like, oh, come on, dude. Seriously? But it is. You end up back where you started, so you don't, go ahead. No? You solid? Here, okay, good. Only the uphill section? Only the uphill section? That gets more interesting, right? That gets more, let's start and stop again here.